several thousand rounds of anti-aircraft fire in that, at this object. And it didn't bring it down. That it just, in fact, a few people died because of heart attacks or the shells fell on them. And this is February 42. There was the Japanese fear at that time, they was afraid Japanese were coming in, but this case has never been solved in that. In fact, on Sci-Fi Channel, about a month ago, reviewed this case, and some of the skeptics tried to say it was a balloon. Well, the people who launched a balloon, they fired this shells at it. A second or two, it blowed up the balloon, as it would. So the skeptics were all wrong about trying to say that was a balloon.
A lot of the misunderstandings of UFOs and stuff like that, people try to say are weather balloons or anything like that. I have a hard time believing that. I do believe that there are some that may be.
Yeah, some of them could be our secret craft in that. Now, that object I told you about, I saw in 1994, I reported on it. I said, is it one of ours or is it a UFO? It was a triangular-shaped craft, okay, and I retired from the Air Guard, and I was not known of any triangular-shaped craft we've ever had, even today's presence. But was it a secret a plane we had flying over? But why would it be flying over populated areas only a couple thousand feet up in the air? Triangular-shaped craft really started being reported in Belgium in 1989 when the Belgium Air Force and that chased them with their F-15s. Before, it was usually saucer-shaped crafts or cigar and that, but the triangular-shaped crafts really come into being back in '89 with the Belgium sightings. I saw mine in 1994, so I have to feel it wasn't one of ours, but it was definitely a UFO category.
Around about how many UFO sightings reported in the U.S. each year?
Okay, I belong to the MUFON, Mutual UFO Network and then also the state network, MUFON of Ohio, besides leading this local organization. And they have on our update that I list every month, I always give MUFON's latest sighting reports. And it breaks down with how many sightings have been seen reported to MUFON, worldwide, like 500. Usually in the USA, it's 300 to 450 some every month. Then they break it down where they have a few of them where it's seen hovering or taking off in that. And what's interesting, they always have a number of entities being seen. It averages maybe 20 to 25, maybe 12 entities seen every month. And people go on our website and they can look it up.
I was doing some research the other night and found out that UFOs are becoming more and more seen every day. Already this month alone, there are 17 sightings in March and 4 already here in April. What do you think's the reason behind that?
Okay, yeah. Like I say, you go to the MUFON website and they'll give you like 400 something. And usually the state that, I always have Ohio listed, how many sighting reports they have, maybe 12 to 15 or something. But California seems to always lead the list. Yeah. And I know California has a lot of UFO investigators out there. And what the public has to understand is these are reported UFO sightings. We feel over the years that maybe only 1 out of 10 ever get reported. A lot of real good UFO sighting cases are never reported. The people keep to themselves. And what people like yourself can do, and I've done over the years, is you get a person that you think is very credible, just bring up you may be talking about something else, bring up the subject of UFOs, ask them, what do you think about the UFO phenomena? And sometimes you'll get some good reports that they've kept quiet, or they know their family members had a good sighting report or whatever. It's really interesting, the response you get. Now, sometimes people say, well, no, I don't think anything of it or whatever. But this is a good way to get some sighting reports that have never been reported. I call it the one-on-one approach.
I'd say there's a lot of people that has seen it and don't want to believe in it, so they'll never talk about it.
Yeah, they can't stand it. It's the fear of the unknown. That's another thing about, we say why our government don't come out and tell us about them. Maybe our government doesn't know everything about them, if you know what I mean. Our government may very well know they exist, but what are you going to do about it? If they, who I'm saying UFO, if they don't want to make contact, we can't make contact with them. They got that advanced technology that it's up to them if they want to make contact. But now we possibly may have had some crashed UFOs we've recovered over the years. A good friend of mine was Lynn Stringfield, a top UFO researcher from Cincinnati, and he died in 1994. I was a good friend of his, and before he passed away, he had 40 or 50 first-hand reports or over 200 second-hand reports where the people told him, yeah, we've seen the bodies or the craft that we have in storage. He believed those reports the people told him. So that could very well be that we do have that evidence, but still we maybe we have one of their, we have the crafts, but maybe we can't penetrate or still trying to get that technology. It's speculation there, but he did get reports that he always believed that they really did exist.
Even as far back as cavemen days, that they drawed on the walls of the ancient astronauts. You can't just make that stuff up.
No, it's there, right there, and that's, if people don't have an open mind, they say it's like one of my fellow workers at DuPont told me one time, said, Pete, I never believe in UFOs, and I was, well, that's all right. He said, you'll never convince me. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, I'm not trying to convince anybody. I think I got that on the video on Southeast Ohio Magazine. I don't try to convince anybody. If you want to hear about UFOs and the history and that we know about, here's what I got. And then, I like to inform people and see the reaction on their face about, like yourself, you never heard about the Battle of L.A. Well, it's right there. In fact, the Battle of L.A., the next day, the L.A. Times had this famous picture right on their front page. And then it kind of died away, you might say, after that. But it was already out there. It's in the archives, but there it is, and it wasn't no weather balloon.
What's some typical movements of a UFO? Like zigzag, straight flight, hover? What's the most reported?
The movements of them?
Yes.
What, I say, like lights in the sky, I don't pay much attention to them, but unless they're making strange maneuvers and that, right angle maneuvers where, a normal airplane or anything couldn't do. But normally these come in hovering over, and I always like to think that we're under observation. They've come down. I know but a few cases where a new plant's been built or something, and within a week or two, they're over that, kind of like they're doing an inspection. But that's just speculation on my part, but, that could very well be. Circleville is noted for the first classic close encounter. Go to the website and you'll notice back in February 1948, had a local farmer, Bruce Stevenson, about 2 o'clock in the morning, February 1st of 48, went out to check on his hog barn. And he had just put new ultraviolet lights in his barn. And he walked out and he seen this huge disc-shaped object hovering over the barn. And Bruce was a very well-respected man and everything. He was in his 40s, I believe, when he saw it. He died, years later. And when he died, before he died, he told his wife that, he still, as he saw that object, he stuck to his story.
Wow. And
he didn't about it until July. You ever heard about July 52 Washington, D.C. sightings? Yeah, well, he came out and was in the papers. He came out about his sighting 4 years later. Sometimes
it just takes a bigger event to bring out the ones that were...
Yeah, locally. Yeah, that's true. But what got me, I had my sighting when I was a junior in high school. When I was a senior in high school, I'd kept quiet about it. Me and my brother did, just told our family that. Well, took public speaking because I figured, well, maybe one of these days I'll speak publicly about this subject. Well, I was in class one day and the teacher told us, okay, I said, let's do a controversial subject like why you don't believe in flying saucers. Well, I kind of almost jumped out of my chair. So, well, what if you do believe in them? He said, well, work on that project. And because of that, I went out and interviewed, Bruce Stevenson. I joined NICAP, a national organization in Washington, D.C., and one of our board members was the first CIA director, Admiral Hillenkotter. This is how prestigious the organization was. I belonged to it for 20-some years. Anyway, I gave my report, and I got an A+ on it. And it made me feel good about it that I was able to talk to people about the subject. And it brought me out of my shell, you might say.
Yeah. Do you believe that we've been visited by other worlds, or is it just, what's your opinion on this?
Well, good question. Very good question. Like I say, you look at the Space Hubble, the telescope and that, and my goodness, it shows that we are a very, very, very small planet amongst the universe. There's so many people out there. I like kind of refer to it like the olden days when they thought, Christopher Columbus and that the Earth was flat, or that we were the center of the universe, the Earth, which has been found out, no, we're not. The sun is the center of our solar system and that. So I kind of refer to that as, are we the only living people here in the whole universe? Well, it'd be I don't know if it'd be nice to think we are or not, but the odds of us being the only living things in the whole universe. In fact, in recent years, the scientists may be helping us get conditioned is that admitting that there is life on other planets. You know, what type of life and that, but could be. So that could be one of the big things is, yeah, they're coming from outer space. We can't verify that. But we got other things here. Could be a dimension. Could be one of my favorites is time travel. So our great-grandkids come back to visit us, to observe us. That's why they can't make open contact, maybe. Again, speculation, but, you know, there's several things you can think about. You know, parallel universe is another one. You know, we've gotten, I really believe we've gotten past the point is, do UFOs exist? Where it's common knowledge that does exist if you do your research. They do exist. Now the questions are where they come from and everything else. But coming from outer space has to be one of the leading possibilities. And it could be a combination. You know, it could be 2 or 3 things. It is time travel, and they come from outer space, another dimension. Could be a combination. We just don't know. And our government may not know either. You know, that's why they don't come out and admit they exist. Because if the government comes out and says, admit they exist, then the public's wanting to know answers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, White House, tell us where they come from. So it makes it interesting.
Yeah, it sure does. You were talking about time travel.
Yeah.
What's some of the advances we've made towards accomplishing time travel, or what do we know about time travel?
Well, I don't know that much, but I'll never forget in January of 2000, I was in the car with my wife and I had radio on. Paul Harvey was on newscast and he was making predictions. And he said, I predict within 100 years we'll have time travel. Well, I looked at my wife and said, you know, well, that's what these UFOs could be right now. And time travel's already been invented, so they're coming back to watch us. You see what I'm saying? Well, I'd be thinking about what we're going to invent here 100 years from now. Well, it's already been invented, so that's them coming back to check us out. But again, that's speculation, but, you know, it could be. And I want to emphasize, too, I believe in the good Lord, you know. I believe in the prayer and that, you know, that helps you through a lot of crisis and that. And I pray for them people down in Alabama. That was a tragedy down there, you know.
Yes, it was.
So, I want to tell you, I belong to MUFON. Their MUFON's mission is the scientific investigation of the UFO phenomena for the benefit of humanity. And the thing about it, you know, the technology, what this is a really key word. The technology, the advanced technology we've been observing. You know, could it help us for the cure of cancer or other things? Again, that's speculation, but for the benefit of mankind, could that be? Or could it be worse? But, you know, they've been observed for years and years. You say how many years? Well, the modern age was 1947, but we know the sighting happened back in 42 over L.A., and there's been sightings even out of the Bible. The UFOs, they share this planet with us.
Yeah.
And they could share this planet. Like I say, they've been seen in the oceans and that. So they just coexisting with us, but for some reason they don't want to, you know, be with us or whatever, or share knowledge. I don't know.
Do you think in the near future that the extraterrestrials will come down here and stay longer than what they have?
Okay, now these 50 top UFO events, 2 of them was in 1997, I think it was February, over Arizona. They had a triangular-shaped craft going over Arizona, okay? Yeah, well, the governor of Arizona came out the next day, had a news conference, had his chief aide dressed up as an alien, and laughed about it, okay? Okay, now 10 years later, the governor of Arizona is on this disclosure project and admits he's no longer governor, okay? He admits he's seen the UFO himself. And they said, why did you make fun of it? Well, it's just like what the government's doing now probably is so it wouldn't panic the people, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a flyover. Okay. Now in 2008, the Texas sightings down in Stephenville, Texas, and that, where a lot of people saw the huge objects going overhead, and they even seen Air Force jets chasing it and that. Well, that made the big news and all that. So what I'm saying is, it just seems like every so often you'll have a wave of sightings or whatever. That, you know, it's up to them when they're going to make an appearance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, every month there's sightings being reported, but the ones that make the